Hello and welcome to FPL Natty. In this video, we're going to be talking about who to look for in game week 2. So it's getting very close to deadline day. Game week 1 is finished. It has gone. So it's now time to look at who you are thinking about to have in your team for game week number 2. So there are a few transfer options that I am looking at and some options that I want to present to you. So let me know if you think I've missed out on some, or there's some others that may have had a fantastic start or who may have a good run of games coming. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. If you like this video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up and ring that notification bell so you don't miss my videos. My friends are like, when are you posting? Just press the bell and you'll get a notification of when my videos are gonna be live, so you can all watch it, you don't miss out. But anyways, the time is ticking, so let's get right into it. So let's kick this off with Alexander Zinchenko. I probably just completely butchered his name, but yeah, you know who he is. He's coming from Man City over the course of the transfer window, and he has slotted right in there currently as a left back in Chiellini's recovery process, but he got an amazing haul of 12 points, an assist, a clean sheet, which gave him maximum bonus points. And also in the match, he registered 1 shot in the box and created 2 chances for his teammates. So he works as an inverted winger for Arsenal, and as you can see against their match against Crystal Palace, the opening game on Friday, it works really well. So for the most part, with Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus, he has a fantastic link up option with them in the final third, and I think he's looking rather nailed on in his position. As you can see by his stats, look, he is quality at defending, creativity. Those attacking stats will go up as the season progresses, but this is what Arteta had to say about him. Both him and Jesus, this is what he said: the way they started shows how hungry they are, the risk that they take, the initiative that they give in the game. They are really big additions for us. That is something that Zinchenko gives, that ability and versatility, and it's something we don't have. So it leaves that door open that he may not just play as a left back, but also could come in as a central midfielder, which means technically the option for more points because he can move further up the pitch. So I think you should definitely watch this space with Zinchenko. A lot of people have already bought him in already. Look at that, that's almost 500,000 transfers in. 23% ownership, probably more than that now. So his price is going to go up. It's already gone up. It's 5.1 million. It's going to rise. So I think he's definitely one to have top of your watch list as a defender and see where that really goes. Next, we have Fabian Shah. This guy is picking up literally where he was last season. I had him last season for the final third of the season, and he gave me some fantastic points. And as you can see there, he has low ownership. So this is a differential. He only costs 4.5 million. He's a nailed on asset in defense, and only 160,000 people have bought him in. So that's not even that many at all. He's great as an overlapping left back, attacking, and look at his points haul. He's got the most points this week, I think, with 15 points. So he's the current leading scorer. It won't last, obviously, in terms of that, because the midfielders and the forwards will get more than him. But it's a fantastic start from him, producing a goal, a clean sheet, and getting 3 maximum points in their 2-0 win. So Newcastle have had 5 clean sheets in their last 8 home matches. So for me, their defense is very strong. And when you're adding in Trippier to that mix, and they've got Pope in goal, I think they are going to be a very good team to have. Eddie Howe was doing a fantastic job there. So you can definitely look out for that. And look at the fixtures they have. There are 2 difficult ones in there with Manchester City and Liverpool, but in between that they have Brighton, Wolves, Palace and West Ham. And with the way that Liverpool are set, with the way that Newcastle are set up, it's definitely a good option to have him in there as one to watch, and even possibly have him in there. He's a very good asset at 4.5 million that not many people have, and there is a good run of fixtures there that Newcastle can definitely benefit from, and you can work your way up in the middle leagues with this differential. Next we have Dejan Kulashevsky. Now, sorry if I'm pronouncing all these names wrong. Dejan Kulashevsky. He is a right-sided left footer, so that means he can cut inside from the right using his left foot. And we totally saw this against Southampton after they went down 1-0. Conte literally ripped them a new one, and they won the game 4-1, I believe it was. And for me, Kulashevsky was the star of that game. He dominated. He set up a goal, he scored a goal, also made 3 key passes and creating 1 big chance. So he is definitely one to look at. Only that 8.1 million mark, and I've spoken a lot about those £8 million midfielders and how you can rotate them from game week to game week, and he's one of those you can definitely look at doing that. But they do have really good run of fixtures, so do you want to rotate him, or do you just want to bring him in and leave him, particularly for the next 6 games? Chelsea, Wolves, Forest, West Ham, Fulham and City. All of those games have a very high probability that he can bring in a points return, because the way that Conte plays is very different to how their former manager plays. Now, their next game is against Chelsea, which is a tough one, but it is still very winnable. Spurs are great on the counter attack, and even after that, they have a very low fixture difficulty in terms of, you know, the games they have coming after that. Kulashevsky is very nailed on, and Conte was, you know, in an interview, he mentioned that he trusts the players that got them Champions League last season. Kulashevsky, who was at the time on a loan deal, was one of those players, and which is why they signed him on a permanent deal. So his place is nailed on. So players like Richarlison, who will be coming in after his game week ban, and Lucas Moura have to work on being in the team. So for me, I don't see him as a risk for being in the team. I don't see him as a points risk at all. And with what he can do and what he showed last season, from January, and what he's shown at the start of the season, and with the fixtures that they have, definitely I would bring him in totally. And over 300 of you believe the same as me. On to the forward, Darwin Nunes. Now, when we saw him in the Community Shield, I was like, not bad. But you know, Community Shield is a bit like a friendly, so it's always hard to tell what it's going to be like in the reality when the Premier League actually kicks off. And he played 45 minutes and had an immediate impact. He scored 1 goal, took 4 shots, got 1 assist and had 2 attacking shots, averaging a shot every 10 minutes, which gave him a points haul of 9. So at the moment, quite a lot of people have him in his team, 24%, which I think is good. The only question I have is, does he start? I know that Jurgen Klopp is very faithful to Firmino, which is why he currently plays ahead of Nunes, but they completely play different positions. Nunes plays in the middle of the pitch and further up in that poacher role, whereas Firmino drops back and then creates a space for Salah. So it's a whole different setup when Nunes is on the pitch. So you have to work out whether or not he is nailed on, and at the moment I will say he isn't. But he is a striker, you know, a natural striker and a natural goal poacher. So it's up to you whether you bring him in, but he's definitely one to watch, because the run of games that they have, they're going to need him. And from what we saw, he can really be a fantastic impact off the bench, or even if he starts. So yeah, have him in your watch list. And last but not least, I should have put him first, to be honest, Erlin Highland. What a beast. What an absolute beast. He destroyed West Ham, scoring twice, ripped them a new one. They're sore right now. They're recovering. Yeah, they're licking their wounds, because this guy completely destroyed them. Pace, strength. He's clinical. He's a threat every time he's near the box. He had a fantastic debut, getting 13 points in the process. And to be honest, look how many people brought him in after the game. Yeah, so that is, at the time of this recording, 850,000 of you brought him in, which is over 55% have him in their team. Now, after Kane blanked and he did this, there was a massive rush of transfers out for Kane and into Haaland. At the time, they were the same price at 11.5 million. Now Haaland has gone up, so you have to be wary of price rises. It's something that affected me in terms of price rises. So yeah, Haaland is now 11.6, so make sure you got the budget for him. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter. Find a way to get him in your team. He's got Bournemouth, then Newcastle, then Palace, then Forest, then Aston Villa and Spurs. Now, if I was a betting man, which I am, I will bet him to score in about 4 out of those 6 games. He is quality. He is a completely nailed on asset. He might come off at 75 minutes, but it doesn't matter because by that time he's going to at least have a shot on goal or a very good chance of an assist. Okay, so you have to have him, and he's on pens as well. It makes no sense not to have him in your team, and just for the pure fact that if you didn't and you went with a differential, you don't want to be caught with your pants hanging down if he scores and you needed him. So get him in your team. He's literally the #1 player for game week 2 and for the next 4 to 6 game weeks to have in your team, Erlin Highland. So these are some players that I'm also looking at that I thought you guys should make a note of to have in your watch list of players to maybe bring in for game weeks 2 and beyond. So have a look at these players. So let's start with the first one. It is William Celiba, who had a fantastic debut in an Arsenal shirt, you know, when they beat Palace 2-0. He's only 21 years old, and Arsenal bought him in 2019, but he was on loan in France, as I said before, for the last 3 years. He played for Saint-Etienne, Nice and Marseille, but he's back now and he went straight into the Arsenal side. And Arsenal have a really good run of fixtures coming up against newly promoted sides particularly. But when I saw him play, I saw how solid he was. He's a very, very clean defender, okay? And it only cost 4.5 million. And what I saw, he's an out-on asset. And this is what Arteta said about him. William Celiba was phenomenal. His relationship with Gabriel, with his understanding of the back four, for him to play his first Premier League game away from home against Palace, really credit to the boy because he stood with a big presence and a lot of composure. So that tells me that Arteta already trusts him, which is why he put Ben White, the 50 million defender that they bought, on the wing or right back or wherever it was. So I think that Celiba will definitely play centre back, and they're gonna have to figure it out when Tomiyasu comes back in. So have either bring him in or have him in your watch list. But at 4.5 million, he's definitely good to have as an Arsenal asset who have some great games coming up. Also, they've got next to him is James Madison. Really good technician on the ball. He's sharp. He's a constant threat around the box and set pieces. There was a stat I saw a match of the day that out of all the English players in 2022, he's got the highest stats. He's got 7 goals, 6 assists in that space of time in 2022. But yet he still hasn't got the call for England. So I don't know what Gareth Southgate's doing, but I think he needs to sort that one out because he's very, very good. There is Arsenal sniffing around him. I think it's Arsenal or Newcastle that are sniffing around Madison and may make a bid for him before the transfer season closes on the 1st of September. So watch the space on this one. But at the moment, Leicester need him. Leicester are desperate for attacking players, and he is one of their best players. So have him in your watch list. He is a bit pricey at 8 million. And Leicester have peaks and troughs, but Madison is a good asset to have. But there are, I think, a few other better players at that 8 million mark that you may look at, particularly with the run of fixtures that Leicester have. Next, I have there Josh Da Silva. Obviously, I've got another O there by mistake. That's Josh Da Silva from Brentford. He's the midfielder that has been at the club for a while, but he was out for 18 months with a hip injury, I believe, for Brentford. But he came back in his first Premier League game at the weekend, and he scored a fantastic solo goal. And it was very, very emotional for him and his teams. When he went back into the changing rooms, they were like clapping him, and they was like applauding his efforts because obviously they stuck with him all this time, and he was a dominant player that they had in that midfield. But obviously last year they had Eriksen playing in that role, and Thomas Frank, who's the manager for Brentford, was concerned about whether or not they should replace him because he's going to be out for so long. But they kept working on him and they had Eric, as I said, they had Eriksen to cover that time period. But now Eriksen's gone to Man United. They're going to slowly phase in Josh Da Silva, and only 4.5 million. He is definitely one to probably have as a bench option, and see how it goes with how they're going to incorporate them in the team. Another couple I have here, we have Mitchevich, Ivan Toney, and Callum Wilson. So let's start with Mitchevich. What can I say? I was doubting him in my other video. If you remember my other video, I said that he's a bit dead, right? So I take it back just a tiny bit. He proved against one of the best defenses in the league what he can do. So after scoring 43 times last season in the Championship, he scored 2 against Liverpool. He had Trent and Virgil van Dijk in his back pocket, you know, and he's on penalties. So I think as a budget defender, only 6.6 million. He was 6.5, but he has gone up. I was talking about those price rises earlier. Yeah. So for only 6 million, he can be there as one of your budget options, as a forward player, and 14% of you currently have him in your squad. So he is definitely a good differential option you can have. Fulham do have some tough games, so bear that in mind. But I think over time and as their games improve, Mitchevich will be on people's watch list and probably in their teams because he's such a cheap price. And as we can see, he has the goods to deliver against the top teams. And he's a different player than he was before. Strong, hold up play. He's clinical. So definitely if he can do it against Liverpool, he can do it against Brighton. He can do it against Brentford. He can do it against other teams in the league. So just know that. But he has tricky fixtures, as I said, but keep him in your watch list. Next up is Ivan Toney, the forward for Brentford. His next fixture is against Manchester United. So I'm a little bit worried because I'm a United fan and they got destroyed by Brighton. Now they have Brentford next, who are a solid team. Thomas Frank really looks after that team. So what can Ivan Toney do? He can score. He can score against Manchester United. And he had a very good debut last season with 12 goals, 5 assists. He's only 7 million. And you know he can do it. He's a nailed on asset. He doesn't come off. He plays a full 90 minutes. He's on pens. He's a talisman. That's a whole list of things that makes him a nailed on FPL budget forward. So his chances are very, very high to score against United. He had a very good goal that he scored against Leicester in the box. So I think you should definitely be looking at him and seeing what he can do going forwards. And last but not least is Callum Wilson. Now what you might be saying, oh, he's injury prone and all this. Yes, he is. But when he plays, he scores. When he plays, Newcastle are a better team. And Newcastle have improved their forward and their attack lineup. They kept, obviously, Alan Saint-Maximin and Bruno Guimaraes, who was there last year, is also in the team. A very creative player. They've got Trippier as well to bring in crosses. They've got a stronger defense and all around are a stronger team. Callum Wilson right now is currently fit. So if he's fit, it means he can score. He's a goal poacher, scored on opening game day, which will boost his confidence. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have him in his team. He's a differential at 3.8% currently. So you could be one of those ones that has him in my team. I know some people in my mini league had him in, so it's pushed him up the table. So don't sleep on any of these 3 forward assets, because at the end of the day, any one of those could come off the bench, or you can have him in your first team and leave room for some other players and have some funds for maybe a Haaland move or another premium option you can have, maybe in defense, for example. So there it is. Those are my players to watch. I don't know how many there were. There was a few there. So make notes, go back, rewind, have a look at some of those stats that I mentioned and some of the fixtures that they have coming up. There are a few players there that I think should either be in your team or be at the top of your watch list. Okay, there are some cheap forwards, some cheap defenders, and some budget mid-price midfielders that you can definitely have. My number one pick for this week is Erlin Highland. But you could, if you want to take a small hit at the beginning of the season, it doesn't matter that much. But you could really put yourself forward by having that player early to present yourself from having to protect yourself from having some price rises that may come in the future, and get those differentials that can really give you a points hike where others are copying or having the same kind of players. So maybe those that are less than 10% owned ownership in FPL could be a really good benefit for you, and there's some there that I've mentioned in my video. So if you disagree with what I said, or you got some other players that maybe I should have added to the list, let me know. I may add them next week. If they have a good game week, I'll add them. So let's see, and we can discuss that in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know you like this kind of content. Hit that bell, and just all around share it with your friends so we can make this community grow. I'm FPL Natty, and I'll see you in the next one.